Lately I've been making some more accords and I want to share them with you. Today I'll be talking about Super Sandalwood, which is it's just a more complex sandalwood which you can use instead of using a single molecule. A quick warning before we start, don't get these kinds of vials for your accords. Get ones that you can screw the cap on, similar to these, or just not this. I don't know why, but with this one, some accords, the pressure of the accord or something causes it to leak out even when there is tape around, and I don't shake it at all. It comes out of the bottle, so don't do that. In this video, I want to talk about a super sandalwood, which I have here at 11%. The idea behind this accord is that I wanted a more complex sandalwood scent, and I had quite a few woody materials laying around like Bacdanol, Ebanol, and Javanol, so I decided to combine them in order to create something that smells more rich and isn't just one scent. Because what I've realized recently is that this is what makes those professional perfumes feel so much more unique and so much more complex. And this is why you see so many entries in all those formulas, is because they use accords, I assume, in order to achieve a more unique scent. Whereas if they just use one molecule for a sandalwood scent, the perfume would simply smell more minimal and maybe more generic. I'll share my realizations about accords and how I approach this in another video, because I have been leveling up lately and I have some very interesting thoughts to share with you. On the screen you can see the sandalwood accord I used for this. We are using Bacdanol, Ebanol, Isoy Super, Javanol, and Cedarwood. Yes, there is cedarwood in sandalwood, but it's not a sandalwood molecule, so I don't confuse you. The sandalwood molecules in this accord are Bacdanol, Ebanol, and Javanol. They are different. The difference was hard to pick up when I first got into perfumery, but now I realize that Ebanol is my favorite one. It is very deep and creamy and warm. Bacdanol is similar, but it feels drier and more like pencils. And Javanol is kind of the most high contrast, the brightest of them all. Plus Javanol is really a high performance material. Not only it is strong, it also projects well. In this specific accord I also included Isoy Super to add some more warmth and some other woodiness, and Cedarwood is to add a little bit of texture and a little bit of high-end roughness or noise, you could say, because Cedarwood, compared to these sandalwood molecules, it is a sharp smell. Even compared to Javanol, it feels very dry and like it tickles my nose in a particular way. But sandalwood is smooth, like sand. It really reminds me of something smooth and creamy. You could say that Isoy Super in this accord acts a little bit as a blender. It helps everything connect a little better and smooth out the rough edges. If you're confused about what I mean by that, because I know many perfumers say that, and as a beginner I didn't really understand what it means. To smooth out the edges means when you first make an accord before it has macerated, or if you make a accord which doesn't have a lot of blenders or helping materials, you might find that certain smells seem to stand out way more than the others. They seem to just have a roughness to them. They seem to poke out of the accord, or there might be gaps within the materials. They don't feel like one accord, they feel more like separate molecules, but you want them to feel like one. And fillers, blenders like Isoy Super, they help do that. Now there are different kinds of blenders. For example, Isoy Super is a woody blender. Benzyl salicylate is a floral blender. Bergamot, from what I know, is a citrus blender. So there are different kinds of blenders for different kinds of smells. And Isoy Super can be used for all of them, but in this case I'm using this for the woody aspect of it. Since this is a woody accord and it has a lot of heavy molecules, this is going to last quite long. To describe this accord, I could say it just feels like a balanced sandalwood accord. It's not just one facet, it has multiple because we're using multiple sandalwood molecules. My first impression is that Bacdanol is the most prominent. And well, it makes sense because we're using it as 6 parts, which is the most parts in this formula. And if you want a more creamy sandalwood, reduce Bacdanol and increase Ebanol. So swap them around basically. The next time I make this, that's probably what I'm going to do. If you do not have cedarwood, you don't have to include it in this accord. It's not like super important. It just helps to add a little texture. The point of this video was not to give you a rigid structure to follow, because I don't believe that's what accords are about. I was just gonna give you this idea that you could combine different sandalwoods with a drop of iso super and cedarwood, or just skip the cedarwood altogether. Different sandalwoods with iso super, and you would get a more complex and rich smell, which you can use instead of using a single sandalwood molecule. There will be times when you want just one aspect, for example, just the creamy aspect of Ebanol. Well, then you can use just Ebanol. But if you want a sandalwood smell in your perfume, this is what I would do.